get your fix.
Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready to get your fix?
With the Wicks here on this even beautifuler than yesterday, Wednesday, April 13th, 2022. And welcome to the show, whether that be on Facebook or on YouTube. Hit the like and the share if you're on Facebook, and hit the subscribe if you are on YouTube. So yesterday we began the show by basically telling you, hey, we're in a dead space right now. Nothing's fucking happening in the National Football League. Lots of moves were made just weeks ago. Massive moves like Devontae Adams going to the Las Vegas Raiders. Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson going to the Los Angeles Chargers. Von Miller to the Buffalo Bills. You get it. There was a lot of moves, okay? I went through my notes from past shows, and let me tell you, page is full of what the hell happened on those specific days. And hey, we're, in this dead space. There's still things that are going to be happening because the draft is only 15 days away. The draft is on Thursday, April 28th, where we get to see new, college athletes achieve their dream, their lifelong dream of being an NFL athlete, being in the NFL, making millions of dollars, securing not only, the financially, or having the financial freedom for their lives, but their kids' lives, their kids' lives, and further beyond, basically their entire family's lives. This is when we get to see these young guys, these young prospects really flourish and make a dream come true. And that's what we're all trying to do. I seen a thing earlier today where it was like, you remember the dream you had when you were just a little kid, just a little lad, right? Don't let that lad down. Don't let that little kid down. And that's what these guys are doing. That's what these athletes are doing. That's what I'm doing. That's what Y4 is doing. That's what we all should be doing, is accomplishing our dreams and goals. Well, today, hey, in my opinion, the most underrated quarterback in the National Football League, Derek Carr, signed a massive extension. We'll dive into that in just a few moments. Also, the XFL, the spring football league that was introduced back to us, because it was once a thing way back in the day. It fell off. It really didn't make a comeback until I believe it was 2 years ago, where there was 8 teams, the Guardians, the Vipers, the Battlehawks, the Defenders, the Roughnecks. I mean, there was a lot of good teams in the XFL, 8 of them to be exact. Well, they are not playing this spring, this year at all. So what that means is 2023, they're going to bring it back up. The XFL 2.0, or the XFL season number 2, who is now owned, or what is now owned by The Rock, okay? Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and I believe maybe another person as well, like 3 people owners, something like that. But they're doing good things. Just a week or 2 ago, they revealed a new logo. Simple, clean, easy to look at and say, okay, this is the XFL. Probably could vamp it up a little bit, or revamp it up a little bit, but they have announced their 8 head coaches for the upcoming 2023 season. We'll dive into that, give you my thoughts on these coaches, basically, and what they have done in the past, and are they going to make an instant impact in the XFL and be a good head coach in the XFL. We'll dive into that in just a moment as well. Deebo Samuel, well, hey, does he want $25 million? Because that's what I'm getting at from seeing that he liked an Instagram post. We'll dive into that as well. The Colts hosted a certain cornerback free agent today. And what does that mean for the future of the Indianapolis Colts? We'll dive into that and more. Are you ready to get your fix? So, I believe it was early this morning or late last night. Didn't get kind of figured out until this morning, I believe. Deebo Samuel was in a picture with the Young Five, or at the Young Five on Instagram, doing his his whole flexing, trying to look cool, the whole pose, looking down, flexing his shirt and whatnot, looking pretty stylish. And the caption read, "If it ain't $25 million a year, we don't want it." And he liked that post. Now, did he like it just because he was in that photo, or did he have a play in the description? Kind of interesting, right? Because Deebo Samuel, not too long ago, at least a week ago, decided, hey, I'm going to unfollow the San Francisco 49ers. Oh, and then I'm going to go delete all of my photos of me being on the 49ers. I mean, why not? We'll keep the Instagram, profile pic the same because that's me in a Niner uniform. I get it, but I mean that's who I am. That's where I played, and I want a new fucking contract. We see all these wide receivers getting paid this offseason, right? Mike Williams, 5-year or whatever it was, $60 million deal. Tyreek Hill got paid this offseason as well. 3 years, $75 million. DJ Moore, 3 years, $61.9 million. Stephon Diggs, 4-year, $96 million. That I believe is the potential to make up to $104 million or $120, something like just ridiculous. And then Devontae Adams, 5 years, $141.25 million. All of them making over $20 million a year. Deebo Samuel says, if it's not 25 a year, I ain't playing for you. Sorry about it. But I believe I have shown what I'm worth. I am an excellent receiver. I'm a top-tier receiver, probably top 10 in the National Football League, if I say so myself. And by the way, I'm not only a wide receiver. I can play the running back position if you need me to. I mean, I'm kind of a wildcat back there. I'm a jack of all trades, basically, is what Deebo Samuel's trying to say. And he's like, it's my money, and I need it now. All right? I want that money. Find a way to pay me because I believe I am... I was the sole purpose or the sole reason why we made the playoffs, why we made it to the NFC Championship game. We fell short, but I think I was a very critical part in having success the entire season. Damn near won the NFC Championship game. Could have went to the Super Bowl. It is what it is, okay? Only 2 teams make it to the Super Bowl, and only 1 team is the Super Bowl champion. So Deebo wants his money. Now, does he deserve $25 million a year? Right? And I think it's interesting when you look at it, right? Because, sure, right off the bat, people are going to say, he deserves whatever money he wants. I think it was very apparent what we've seen last season from Deebo Samuel. Well, yeah, but you also got to take in mind he's only been in the NFL for 3 years. Okay, his first year, he only had like 800 some yards, 3 touchdowns receiving. I'm not really sure on the rushing stat part of it, but then you go to year 2, only played in 7 games because he got hurt, had 300 receiving yards, no touchdowns or 1 touchdown, something like that. Very low receiving-wise. Then you look at last year. Last year is where he really had the chance to flourish and become Deebo Samuel, be the guy that we always knew, or some people knew that he was going to ultimately be. He ends up with 1,400 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns receiving, had 365 rushing yards, 8 touchdowns rushing. He also fumbled the ball 4 times. But with the amount of times that he carried the ball, I believe it was like 56 times that he had the ball in his hands, or rushing-wise, I'm saying, and only fumbled it 4 times. I think it's all right. All right. I mean, if you don't play the position consistently and constantly, you're gonna have some turnovers. It's just it's the way the game is played. I mean, when you're running, we have defenders nowadays fucking coming from behind and hitting the ball out from like up right here and it just pops out. It's a fumble. You get it. But does he deserve $25 million a year? I'm not so sure, right? Because yes, he's a centerpiece or a cornerstone piece of that 49ers offense. He'd fit nicely everywhere else he went, I'd assume. I mean, he'd make an instant impact, and I think that's what you look at people, or when you look at athletes you think, hey, can this guy make an instant change or an instant impact on our franchise and make us that much better? Then you look at the money. If you can make that impact, if you can change the outlook on the team, make them better, I think he's worth that money. I think he's worth $25 million. But at the same time, can he stay healthy? I think he was nursing I think it was like an ankle injury last year. He still played on it. He did his business. But it might be too early to ask for this type of money. Davante Adams went, I don't even know however long, without getting his massive payday, and he didn't even get it from the team that he was on before, the Green Bay Packers, for many, many years. It was looking like he was going to be a Green Bay Packer for a long, long time, and that just wasn't the case because Green Bay decided, we're going to give the money to Aaron. Sorry about it, but that's what we got to do. So he goes to Las Vegas Raiders. Then he gets his extension. He gets his massive payday. Took him forever. Tyreek Hill, he's 29 years old, was a Kansas City Chief. He was basically, they call him the cheetah, the king of the mountain over there in Kansas City. I mean, all he has to do is run deep, throw it up, and he's going to payday. Stephon Diggs, also another receiver that took 6 years to get his massive payday. Formerly a Minnesota Vikings, has that Minneapolis Miracle play that, will always live up in here in my mind for sure, 100%. One of the most electrifying days of my life. One of the most electrifying days. I'll never forget that moment, that day where I had a million different emotions running through my body, and at one point I was like, typical Vikes, like this is fucking bullshit, and all of a sudden he catches it, and I'm, jumping up in the air, hugging my uncle, watching my cousin just run out of the room. I mean, it was an absolute moment that I will never, ever, ever forget as long as I live. But it took him a while, right? Because he was the Minnesota Vikings. They had some, relationship issues. It just wasn't working out. All right, see you later. We'll trade you to the Buffalo Bills. We get the 22 overall pick in the first round draft. We land Justin Jefferson. I don't think we're upset about that at all. I think we kind of won that draft. In my opinion, I think we got a top 5, top 10 receiver in the National Football League to replace Stephon Diggs. Now, Stephon Diggs, he goes to the Buffalo Bills, has 2 years there. He's been, the first year there, he absolutely flourished, was amazing to watch. Him and Josh Allen clicked very, very quickly. Second year, right, it didn't seem like they had that same chemistry. It was still there. Obviously, very apparent that it was still there. Stephon Diggs is the legit number 1 wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills. But they had Emmanuel Sanders. They had Cole Beasley. They had all these other weapons. Dawson Knox, who just all of a sudden came out of nowhere halfway through the season. I mean, they had all these other targets that you have to spread the love a little bit. You have to spread the ball. And that's exactly what they did. So his stats it may have not seemed like he did much, but he did enough for the Buffalo Bills. Made a Pro Bowl. He went into the playoffs for the Buffalo Bills. That man did what he needed to do. It took him some time to get his massive extension. DJ Moore. Okay? We watched his career, obviously with the Carolina Panthers. I think this is one of the quicker ones, but I think it still took him 4-5 years to get his contract extension. So I think what we're seeing here is, I don't necessarily think teams or NFL teams want to pay massive amounts of money to wide receivers that are towards the beginning of their career. Yeah, they're veterans at this point. 2-3 years in the league, they're veterans. But I don't think it's until year 5. If we can see consistency, you're staying healthy, and you're getting continuously better every single year throughout, through the first 5 years, basically, we don't want to pay your money or pay that money because we can go get a receiver that might possibly do the same exact thing, maybe even do a little bit better in the draft, or we can get a free agent that's, established, a 10-year vet, an 8-year vet, where we can pay him like the vet min or just a little bit over the veteran minimum, where we don't want to risk taking or risk giving out a contract, a massive contract extension for $20 million a year to a guy that's only played 3 seasons, was hurt one of those seasons. Yes, he was a dynamic duo. He was electrifying to watch. He was a big reason why the San Francisco 49ers made the playoffs and made a Super Bowl run. But do we want to take a chance on that? What happens if we give you this contract, you get hurt this next season, you're out the whole year, we still have to pay you because you got so much guaranteed and all this, blah, 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 all this nonsense, and now we got some cap space issues because we decided to sign you and the rest of your career just doesn't go how it was supposed to be, and then after this contract's up, bam, you're never going to make it again, and we were the fools that gave you that contract. I think that's what the NFL, in my opinion, or in my eyes, it kind of seems like they're doing. They're not going to go out there, because I think wide receiver is one of those positions that's easily replaceable. Just like the running back position. There's many, many people out there at the wide receiver position and the running back position, right? Because growing up, people, right, we watched, what's a good example? We watched Odell Beckham Jr. make that one-handed grab, right? He made a whole push for these little kids to, oh, I want to be a wide receiver. Randy Moss was one of them as well. I got his jersey up here. I mean, the man was influential on wanting or turning kids to be a wide receiver. Yeah, Tom Brady helps out having kids wanting to be a quarterback. But I think the game is changing to, hey, we want to be a receiver. We want to be that flashy guy. We want to go make spectacular catches. And we want to be somebody that, you know, is feared in the sport of football. So I think they're easily replaceable. And with that being said, I think the Niners are going to kind of take a step back. They love Deebo Samuel, it seems that way anyways. But I think Deebo has to look at it like how I'm looking at it, even though he deserves to get paid, he deserves his money, but it might take some time. And from what I heard, I think it was either Peter Schrager or Daniel Jeremiah via the Pat McAfee show basically said, look, the 49ers, they'll pay their guys, but they'll pay their guys when they think it's time. And that makes complete sense because it took a long time for Trent Williams to get his sign or his contract extension. It took a while for their fullback Kyle Juszczyk to get his contract extension. I think there's another person there that also took a while to get done. So they're going to pay people when they want to pay them, if they believe that it's time to give them their money. So obviously, what does that mean? Well, I think we got to start looking at the possibility of Deebo Samuel maybe being traded during the draft. And that would make huge news. Where does he go? Does he go to Green Bay, who needs a receiver after losing Devontae Adams? Does he go to Seattle, who, well, I guess he wouldn't go to Seattle because they still got DK and Tyler Lockett. That wouldn't make sense. Does he go to New England? Even though they just picked up Devontae Parker, have Nelson Aguilar or Kendrick Bourne. That's a very real possibility. Does he go to Pittsburgh, who lost Juju Smith-Schuster, but needs to replace him so that they can pair him with Chase Claypool? Does he go to the Cleveland Browns, who lost Jarvis Landry this offseason? There's multiple places where he can go. Does he go to the Indianapolis Colts? That would be fireworks, folks. That would be absolutely phenomenal to watch. But there's many options where Deebo Samuel could end up. Honestly, in my opinion, I think San Francisco 49ers organization might tuck their tail. Here's your contract, Deebo. Sign it, please, on the dotted line. Okay, thank you. Come again. And we go from there. So we'll find out in time, but until then, just know he still hasn't followed the 49ers back. Still hasn't put those pictures back up on his Instagram like Kyler Murray did. And he's taking pictures with some, I don't know who it is, somebody, and that says, if it's not $25 a year, we don't want it. So that's all we basically know up to this point. Deebo Samuel is looking for a payday. I'd assume he's going to get one. Is that with the 49ers? Not so sure on that. So the XFL, let's move over to the XFL quick before we dive right back into the NFL and finish the show off. But the XFL, obviously after a short, 2020 season, I think COVID kind of shut things down on them. But nobody knew what was going to happen with the league afterwards. Was it gonna, vanish? What was gonna happen? What's gonna happen to all these jobs that are, all of a sudden lost? Well, some of them got jobs in the NFL. Taylor Heineke plays for the Washington Commanders. PJ Walker is bounced around. I think he's at Carolina currently. I'm not sure where he is now. But they've gotten some chances. I think Jordan Teamu, who was the quarterback for the Battlehawks, went to the Kansas City Chiefs. But then The Rock buys him. Rock's the new owner. He wants to make this kind of a learning league, or I can't remember how he worded it exactly, but a league where you can perfect your craft just a little bit more outside of college. Well, the next step would be figure out who the coaches are going to be. Who's going to be coaching what team? Well, it didn't really tell us what coach was going to be of what team, but it did say, hey, we have our 8 coaches for the 2023 season, and these are the XFL's 8 coaches who might potentially coach either the Vipers, the Guardians, the Battlehawks, the Roughnecks, the Defenders, and 3 other teams. I forgot the other 3 teams for some reason. But these are the 8 coaches that will be in the XFL in 2023. First up, we got an old buddy, Wade Phillips. This man was the head coach of not only the Broncos, but the Bills and the Cowboys, was an interim head coach for the New Orleans Saints, and I believe one other team. I can't remember off the top of my head who it was. But he was in the NFL for a long time, had success at the NFL level. He knows how to run a well-oiled machine. I think he's going to do pretty solid here in the XFL, but talent-wise, it's not going to be as good as the NFL, so he's going to have to find a way to adapt and realize, hey, these aren't 5-star athletes. These are probably 3-star, 4-star athletes. They're not the greatest, corn of the crop. And it's just how it's going to be. But I think Wade Phillips will be just fine, okay? He knows what to do. He's been there and done that. Hines Ward, also, former receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers, 4-time Pro Bowler. This man, we know what he's all about. I believe he coached with the Jets last season. I think he was a wide receiver coach or something like that. He's bounced around the NFL a little bit here and there. I do believe he was in the XFL previously, not a head coaching position, but he was there coaching just a little bit, or I can't remember if it was the XFL or some other league. But he's going to be a head coach. I'm pumped for that. Rod Woodson, Super Bowl champion, played for the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens, was very, very influential on creating a very, very fearsome defense for that Baltimore Ravens crew when they had, Ray Lewis and Ed Reed back there. That defense was flying around. They were smacking some moss out there, okay? But Rod Woodson, he's going to be head coach. I'm pumped for that. He brings that type of fire. Hey, if you're not going to do it right, don't do it at all, okay? And I'm pumped to see what he has in store and what team he coaches. I don't know, because I didn't see that. They didn't post that part. But I probably should do my due diligence and probably look into that, dive into that. I'll probably do that, here in the next couple hours or so. We'll bring it up tomorrow or whatnot. Another coach, Bob Stoops. He was the head coach of the Oklahoma Sooners for a little bit. That's basically all I know. Good luck, pal. His resume might not add up to the rest of these guys, right, who's had Super Bowl experience, who's been to Pro Bowls, who's been a head coach in the NFL. This guy was the head coach of a college football team. But, hey, like I mentioned with Wade Phillips, these guys are 3-4-star athletes. They're nothing like, they're not 5-star athletes that could become a superstar in the National Football League. It's very potentially possible that they could be a superstar in the National Football League, just like how Kurt Warner kind of made his way through the Arena League, and then he comes out and becomes the greatest show on turf. How you doing? Keep moving, hosting that Lombardi. Yeah, it took me a while to get here, but I'm here. So that's what happens there. So Bob Stoops, he can get the job done, and I think he might have a better understanding of what type of players he's dealing with than most of these other coaches. So only time will tell, obviously. Anthony Beach, I think is how you say his name, or Becht. I don't know. It's Becht. Probably Anthony Beach. He was a tight end in the NFL for the Jets, the Cardinals, the Bucks, and the Rams, so he's been there, done that. He knows how to play the football game, or knows how to play the game of football. He knows the ins and outs, the X's and O's, and I think he's going to be a really good player-coach type of thing, where he can relate to the players. He can tell them, hey, don't do this, and I think he's going to help these guys learn a little bit more, so I'm pumped to see what he has in store for us as well. Another one, Jim Haslett. He was the head coach for the Saints, and he was also a defensive coordinator for the Rams and the Washington Redskins at the time, now Commanders, once football team. So he's been in the NFL. He knows what he's doing. He's going to be a defensive-minded head coach. And I think it's going to be defense first, offense second. Let's try to load up on the defensive side of things and see what we got for our offense, maybe make some moves here and there. But I think you're going to see a team that potentially, is going to be tough to win against, possibly. So that'll be interesting to see as well. Reggie Barlow is another head coach. Now, he was a returner for the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Raiders, the Bucks, and he also won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I believe. So he brings that Super Bowl experience. He's been there, done that. He was highly touted coming out of college. He's a very special guy. I think he said, I think when I was reading it, I think he's the youngest player in NFL history to return a punt or return a kickoff for a touchdown. One of the two. I believe that's what it said. So, hey, all it takes is your one opportunity. Don't screw it up. And I think that's the type of coach he might be there. Hey, you get one shot at this. Don't screw it up, okay? Let's figure it out. If you're going to make that catch deep with one hand, you better make it, because otherwise I'm going to make you go up with two. All right? Sounds good. How you doing? Keep moving. And lastly, Terrell Buckley. This guy was a former cornerback for the Green Bay Packers, the Miami Dolphins, the New England Patriots, and which he won a Super Bowl with. This man, hey, I did not know much about this guy, except now that I figured it out when I went to do a little research, see what this guy was all about, the National Football League, and if he was worth a damn, right? Well, he's like the first cornerback, or the only cornerback, to have 50-plus interceptions and never make a Pro Bowl in his career. He had at least one interceptions in 13 straight seasons. This man was very consistent at the cornerback position, stayed healthy, just really wasn't a standout type of guy. He did his job, went to the locker room, packed his shit up, went home, slept, did the same damn thing the next day and repeated, and just kept, minding his own damn business and being the best possible football player he could be. And I think that's the type of shit we're going to see him bring to the XFL. Hey, doesn't matter about the name on your back. Come in here, do your job, and we'll repeat. We'll keep doing that as long as you come in here and perform like we all know you should. Okay? Give me 110% and I'll give you 120, basically. Or 150, 200, whatever you want to say. So those are the 8 coaches: Wade Phillips, Hines Ward, Rod Woodson, Bob Stoops, Anthony Beach, Jim Haslett, Reggie Barlow, and Terrell Buckley. So congratulations to those head coaches getting hired. Pump for them. Excited to see the XFL in the 2023 season. The revamped. Let's see what happens if they're going to bring in new, technology. I doubt it. I think they're going to stick with what they had because it worked. So I'm all about more football. We got the USFL coming up this weekend, this Saturday, April 16th, where we have the New Jersey Generals taking on the Birmingham Stallions. So that'll be a barn burner. Not really sure what we have in store, but we'll find out this Saturday. So let's take a trip back to the NFL. That's what this show is all about. We talk, about the National Football League. That is what we like to dive into. Well, in my opinion, the most underrated quarterback in the National Football League, Derek Carr, signed a pretty nice contract extension, if I do say so myself. A 3-year, $121.5 million contract extension. The agreement ties Carr to the Las Vegas Raiders through the 2025 season. So congratulations on him getting that bag. Now apparently there's multiple reports coming out that's saying, oh, well, it's technically only like a 1-year deal, going to be like 20-some $million, and then after that he has the opportunity to kind of get a trade or whatnot, opt out and stuff like that. There is a no trade clause, I think, in his contract. So, per at Mike Garofolo on Twitter, he says, in all, Derek Carr is set to earn $141.3 million over 4 years, with $100 million of it coming over the next 3 years. The deal also includes a no trade clause, source says. Okay, Carr remains the quarterback for the Raiders for this foreseeable future. So massive payday for Derek Carr. I mean, this man has been phenomenal, I believe. I don't think he gets enough love. A lot of people don't really talk about him, and when they do, it's kind of like those games that were nail biters. They just didn't quite get it done. But look, this man single-handedly, well, not single-handedly, I probably double-handedly with Richie Bisaccia helping him out a little bit, but brought the dismantled, disgruntled, frazzled, whatever you want to say, organization of the Las Vegas Raiders that was dealing with Henry Ruggs' situation, the IRS coming in and investigating some potential fraud going on, and all this other outside noise. Damon Arnett flashing his guns, threatening people on Instagram. Like, come on, dude, what the fuck? You're a grown-ass man. Act like it, okay? But they dealt with all of that, and yet in the end, Derek Carr found a way to lead them to the playoffs. They didn't obviously do too well, okay? And that's understandable. But to get there alone under all the noise that was happening, your head coach gets fired and all the other nonsense, give the man a lot of kudos, a lot of props for doing so. He's done this multiple times. He doesn't care about the outside noise. He's going to come in there, he's going to play football, and then it's about God on the outside. Okay, that's what he is. That's who Derek Carr is, and he's unbelievable at what he does, and nobody really talks about it. At least I don't hear it at all. So if you guys have heard it, let me know. But I think he's one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the National Football League, right alongside probably Ryan Tannehill, who struggled a little bit last year, but I think he'll be just fine. But hey, Derek Carr last season had 4,804 yards, 23 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, and a 94 quarterback rating. Now, those 14 interceptions, yeah, as soon as you see that, your eyes are probably like, what, 14? That's a little, too much. Aaron Rodgers just had 4 or like 5, whatever the case was. Like 14? I don't know, pal. You got to understand what the fuck he was dealing with, okay? Hunter Renfrow, Zay Jones, and can't remember the other guy. I mean, he had Darren Waller, but Darren Waller, I think, was in and out a lot of the time last season. So he didn't have that much to deal with, basically. But his whole career, he's been just fine. 31,700 yards passing to a T, actually. That's pretty phenomenal, okay? 193 touchdowns, 85 interceptions, and has a career quarterback rating of 92.4. So if you don't know, okay, 50 is an average quarterback rating. 100 is a good quarterback rating. So he's right there. He's right at that, good quarterback rating. He's not bad. He's not great, but he's good. Okay, he knows how to play the sport, and he got a massive payday. And hey, the Raiders have spent quite a bit of money this offseason on just 4 people, basically. They've signed others as well, but these are the 4 massive. Look, they signed edge rusher Chandler Jones to a 3-year, $51 million deal. They signed defensive end Max Crosby to a 4-year, $98.98 million contract extension. Kind of weird because his number is 98. It's kind of funny. Yeah. Okay. Wide receiver, they bring over free agency, Devontae Adams, who was franchise tagged by the Green Bay Packers, and he said, no. I ain't playing on that. So you either figure out how to get a deal done or I'm out of the building. So he's out of the building, signs with the Las Vegas Raiders for 5 years, $142.5 million. And now they lock up Derek Carr on a massive 3-year, $121.5 million contract extension. So congratulations to those players and the Raiders. Hey, Things are looking good. Things are looking bright. Now can we see it happen? A new head coach, Josh McDaniels, new GM, Dave Ziegler. I think they'll be just fine. I think we're going to see a Raiders team that should make some noise. But they also have to go up against the Chargers, who've made pretty good moves. Okay, they got J.C. Jackson to pair with Derwin James out there. They also got Khalil Mack to pair with Joey Bosa on that defensive side. Their defense, pretty fucking scary. Okay, that offense, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, Justin Herbert, I mean, pretty fucking scary. Then they got the Denver Broncos, who just added Russell Wilson so he can throw to these younger receivers, Tim Patrick, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, who have massive upside. Who knows what they'll do in the draft? Maybe get a tight end, maybe focus on their defense. They got Bradley Chubb on their defensive side of things. So I think the Denver Broncos are a team that, they'll make some noise. Russell Wilson will automatically make them a little bit better, but how much better? I think that's the real question. And then, obviously, you got the fucking Kansas City Chiefs to worry about, even though they got rid of Tyreek Hill. They still got Patrick Mahomes, okay? He's a gunslinger back there, and he just has an absolute fucking cannon of an arm. So the Chiefs are going to be the Chiefs, but it might be a little worse, might be a little better. Who knows what will happen? So the Raiders, massive payday to Derek Carr. And last but not least, Stephon Gilmore has been on the free agency market for quite some time. Longer than I expected, actually, because multiple teams around the National Football League need someone like Stephon Gilmore to come in and revamp their defensive backroom. Bring in a veteran who's, shown that man-to-man coverage, good luck, okay, against me, knocks down passes left and right, can pick the ball off, has really good ball IQ, and really good hands out there. He can catch pretty solid, I believe. Has good footwork, knows what he's doing, okay, knows the playbook. He's a veteran, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Well, he just went on a field trip, a little visit, to the Indianapolis Colts organization. What does that mean? Obviously nothing. Okay, he's just checking out his options, seeing what's out there, and hey, the Colts look pretty good. Okay, got Xavier Rhodes, got Kenny Moore II. I mean, look pretty good. Maybe I want to play for them. That's what he's doing. He's seeing what they got in store, and especially with an owner like Jim Irsay, who just sounds pretty fucking awesome from what I've been hearing, from what I've seen, or what I've heard Pat kind of talk about, or Pat McAfee kind of talk about him. It sounds like he's a pretty cool dude, and he only cares about winning and what's best for the Colts. And at Rap Sheet on Twitter says, Colts owner Jim Irsay recently said that GM Chris Ballard was in on a big name free agent, and Stephon Gilmore would certainly qualify for that. So, is it Stephon Gilmore that he's big on? Is it Tyrann Mathieu that he's big on? Who knows, man? We'll figure it out. The story will break eventually. Time will tell who gets signed where and when might that be. But Stephon Gilmore was on a visit to the Indianapolis Colts organization today. With that being said, that's all I have for you lovely people on this glorious Wednesday. And we'll see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central Time, like always. Okay, it'll be a nice Thursday. We'll see what the hell happens around the NFL, because I'm sure, well, not really sure, but something should happen. I hope it happens. But go enjoy the rest of this day. We have beautiful weather out there. I know I'll go enjoy as much of it as possible. But have a great rest of your night. We'll see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central Time. And you just got your fix with the Wicks. Deuces, folks.